When you're looking to change the world will not change when it is fearful or in conflict. Sometimes you can use conflict to create change, but change itself will not occur in conflict. The only way that change can occur is when there is love in the world. Love is in the air, and it's all around the world, so to speak. Geez, we're really good, aren't we?
That's
Yeah.
good.
What an audience. They didn't even go for it. No clapping, no laughing. So the point is that love is necessary for change. So if you're looking to change the world, looking to change government, looking to change part of the institutions of government, whatever you're looking to change, then love itself must be present. And that you can use, instead of love, you can use the word appreciation as an equivalency. And as a result of that, when appreciation is there, you can appreciate all sides, all perspectives, the fear in others, the desire for change in others, and while appreciating, still move towards change.
Yeah.
And you apply that, if in fact, inside yourselves, and you'll see that that's exactly the methodology that all of you use to create change within yourselves. You don't change when you're fearful. You don't change when you're angry. You don't change when you're defensive. You change when you can appreciate part of yourself, all of yourself. It doesn't have to be all of yourself. You can just appreciate part of yourself, and that part then is allowed to change. But without appreciation, change will never occur.
Yeah, that's true.
So, if you see it from that perspective, then it's easy to see how to change society, isn't it?
Appreciate.
Encourage self-appreciation. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right now, in the Middle East, in Egypt, for example, some would say that Egypt has changed. They've gotten rid of a dictator, and they're looking to change the political system, the political landscape. Did that change come about as a result of fear, as a result of anger? Many people would say absolutely. If it were not for anger, there would have been no change. But keep yourselves looking, and you'll recognize that really not much will change within the next few years. Oh, they'll replace the system that they had, and the people within that system, they'll replace them. But not much will change until such time as people begin to appreciate themselves, their fears, their anger. It's not to say to justify it, it's to appreciate it. There is a difference here. It's to allow yourself that you can be angry while looking for change. But it isn't anger itself that creates change. It is appreciation. So when appreciation starts to come up, you'll start seeing movement within the Egyptian country, movement towards a real change in the political landscape. You see? Anger is good to force movement. Fear is good to force movement. But appreciation is what really creates change.
Yes.
Got it?
Yes, that's true.
So, if you're looking to change the world now, and you're looking to create a dialogue whereby governments, institutions, people can participate, then create the dialogue based on appreciation. Don't do it on the basis of anger or the basis of fear. Do it on the basis of appreciation. Appreciate all that you've accomplished. and create a dialogue to move further. Do you see?
Yes.
Yes.
Otherwise, you negate the past, create fear and anger from it, and nothing ever changes. You just repeat the same stuff.
It turns
Again.
into a fight.
Well, it does. It turns into a fight, and you end up repeating the same stuff.
Yeah.
Different formulation, different iteration, but it's still the same stuff.
So you're saying Egypt is in a repetition
Right now,
right
yes.
now, a cycle, because it was catalyzed by fear and anger.
Yes, but until it is moving towards appreciation, it's not there yet. Right now, there's still a lot of fear, a lot of anger. There's the Muslims against the Christians. That's going on right now in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of anger, a lot of fear.
Mm-hmm.
And until that changes to appreciation, there cannot be, call it a change in the country, a change in government. You see?
Right, and that's such a mirror for each individual too.
It is, isn't it?
Because you know what, just in my struggles or when I perceive others' struggles, it's a continuous cycle when you think that you need to change, whether you're fixing yourselves, thinking that you need to be more perfect. You never really change. You make a lot of noise, but you don't actually change.
Exactly. Anger is the fuel that propels the missile. You see? So anger is really what propelled everybody to revolt. And you would say revolt has changed, but it's not change yet. It's revolution.
Yeah.
Do you see? To create a real change away from that which they had, a strong dictatorship, to something more democratic. To create that change, they have to move towards appreciation. Otherwise, under the present circumstances, they'll just get another dictator. You see?
Yeah.
If the Christians and the Muslims can't get along together, somebody will step up and dictate the terms of cohabitation. Do you see?
Yeah.
And isn't that really what governments are to some degree? Don't they dictate to the population? Regardless of whether they call themselves democratic or not, aren't they dictating?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, understand that from that perspective as well.
So, in the example of Egypt or other countries in conflict, what are the signs of appreciation? Is it that we no longer see obviously no fighting on the
When
street?
Egypt, all the people of Egypt, come together and can appreciate each other and choose from that appreciation a new government, then they will have chosen that which they really do want to choose. It's not everybody will choose it, but the majority will. So they will move towards a more democratic government. Eventually they'll have to move away from that as well. But for now, that's a good step.
So they would resolve amongst themselves, like the Muslim versus Christian.
They have to stop fighting to start appreciating. They have to stop fearing each other to really create that appreciation. Do you see?
Mm-hmm.
For as long as there's fear and anger, it just will not move to appreciation. Fear and anger will just create another dictator. Right now, the army is dictating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think? And if this continues, they'll just find another dictator.
That's the religious divides are one of the most challenging to resolve.
That's what we said earlier, isn't it?
Yeah, the Muslims versus Christians, for example. I mean, it's almost like they are ingrained not to dialogue in a very appreciative way. Their lines are really deep.
Yes.
It seems like, or is that just...
Two people. Female and a male, one Christian, one Muslim. That's what started this whole thing. They wanted to get together. The religion said no. Why? Do they fear losing control over their members? Do you think?
Mm.
And so, as we said, fear and anger. Eventually you just end up with another dictator. It may be, it's like a wolf in a sheep's clothing. You think you're getting a sheep, but you're actually getting a wolf. Do you see? A new dictator might seem more benevolent at the beginning, but we assure you it's just that they're more adept at manipulation. They'll still dictate.
They're still telling people what to do,
Exactly.
which is what a dictator is. It's just that their delivery might be nicer.
Exactly.
But back to this divide, so I mean, is it just dialogue? Is it still the same tools we talked about before, the resources that we talked about?
It's only an issue in areas where there isn't dialogue between Christians and Muslims. There isn't a problem with it with Christians versus Muslims in Canada, for instance.
Because there's dialogue.
Yeah.
It's not to say that there's no problems.
Mm.
They're just not as obvious. You
Yeah.
see? They're not as strong. But the dialogue does keep the majority of them away.
Yeah.
Dialogue, dear friends. How else do you get to know your neighbor?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
You see?
Yeah.
How else do you get to know the person next to you? Without dialogue, you can't get to know that person.
Mm-hmm.
So have a dialogue. Create the dialogue. Facilitate the dialogue between others. You see?
Yeah.
Right, that's part of the guiding role.
Isn't it?
Where it's almost like a mediation. Well, mediation might be a strong term, but you're just...
All you want to do is facilitate dialogue.
Yes.
Look at it from this perspective. There's you, dear Angela, and there's dear Paul, sitting side by side. Let's just assume for a moment that you don't know him. He doesn't know you.
Mm-hmm.
So both of you then looking at each other, both of you a little fearful. He's a big, tall, brutish English individual. You're a small, short, Asian, self-centered individual. So, both of you fearful of each other, both of you judging each other, until you create a dialogue between each other to get to know each other as people, as persons, get to know the personality, get to know the individual, get to know the energy of the individual. Can you really then appreciate each other? No. You'll be afraid. You'll be even angry at first. Dear Angela will say something like, well, why wouldn't you take care of me? I'm right here, aren't I? And of course, big brutish English Paul will say, what? Who do you think you are? And so it goes on from there. You see? So the key is to appreciate, to create a dialogue that says, let me get to know you as a person, so that way I can appreciate who you are. You see?
Yeah.
If you have a dialogue going on in the world, we assure you, dialogue will avert most difficulties, and in fact, if you want, can avert all difficulties. It requires will and dialogue. You see? You see the point, dear friends?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So without dialogue, you won't know that dear Angela is a scared little girl who's afraid of the big shadow that's you cast next to her. And without dialogue, dear Paul, Angela won't know that really you're not secure in yourself, and you're certainly afraid of the feminine energy next to you. We're not saying that's real. We're just saying that that's just an example. Is it?
Right, yeah.
So there you go. So without dialogue, you can't know these things about each other. So dialogue allows you to discuss it, open it up. The more dialogue there is, the more you can open yourselves to each other, become vulnerable, become open, and trust each other. And the resultant is that you don't have fear and anger, and then change in your relationship takes place because now you have appreciation of each other. As long as fear and anger is there, you're not going to appreciate each other.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're pretty good at that, making sense, aren't we?
It does make sense.